Welcome to this presentation provided by ISSI Data Vault, a leading provider in data storage, business continuity, and disaster recovery solutions. Today we're going to be discussing the nuts and bolts of hosted backup solutions, as well as take a look at the advantages of making the paradigm shift from traditional backup solutions to a hosted environment. We'll look at the pros and cons of tape and hosted solutions, the limitations of hosted backup, and the ideal environment for a hosted solution. Before we begin, I would like to take a brief moment to introduce ISSI Data Vault. ISSI Data Vault is headquartered in Seattle, Washington, and has been a leading provider in data storage products and services for over 20 years. ISSI Data Vault carries everything from tape and disk media to storage hardware, software, holographic storage devices, and hosted services. With regards to today's topic, hosted data storage, ISSI Data Vault offers several products suited for small businesses and large enterprises. A reality of business today is the overwhelming dependence on our digital assets and data. Data loss statistics have shown time and time again that significant data loss, regardless of the cause, can lead to considerable financial losses and eventual business closure. Statistics like these are the driving force behind data backup and offsite storage. The question we must ask ourselves is our current backup and recovery method sufficient to prevent serious impact to our business operations should a catastrophe strike? And can we improve our current process to better utilize employees, resources, and finances? There are many driving forces behind the wave of IT professionals moving to a hosted solution. Explosive data and application growth is not supported by a limited IT staff. Many small businesses rely on a single IT administrator to handle data backup and recovery in addition to putting out the daily fires. In larger enterprises, consolidating and simplifying data backup and recovery with an automated solution will free up resources to focus on other IT-related activities. In addition, retention policies are continually changing and becoming more stringent due to government laws and regulations stipulating how long and in what fashion certain industries must maintain records and emails. This archived data, sometimes 7 to 10 years old, can be difficult to recover from tape. For starters, according to leading analysts like the Yankee Group and Gartner, 54 to 71% of all tape restores fail. With these statistics, ensuring your business via a tape backup system could be a waste of time and money. Also, the appropriate legacy tape hardware may no longer be available to restore to when the need arises. With limited IT resources, growing data stores, and environments increasing in complexity, we must constantly strive to find mechanisms to simplify and automate our data management. Lastly, we must take into account distributed environments, remote workforces, and longer production days. These factors all add to the burden IT professionals face when trying to support the modern business. As discussed previously, many of us are faced with the responsibility of meeting regulations placed upon us by state, local, and federal mandates. The hosted solutions discussed in this presentation were developed with government compliancy as a major focal point. Whether you're responsible for storing your data out of state, encrypting your data at rest, or retaining files for several years, an ISSI Data Vault hosted solution will meet and exceed these data backup mandates. In looking at a typical business environment, we often find backup being done directly to tape or indirectly to tape via a disk appliance. Disk is quickly becoming a mainstay in many environments due to its high availability, consolidation benefits, and its ability to provide faster restores and backup versus traditional tape. All hosted solutions provided by ISSI Data Vault are true disk-to-disk solutions, meaning your data never gets stored on tape but is always replicated so your information will not get lost. In this traditional model, you might typically be performing a single full backup weekly with incremental backups daily. The weekly backups are often taken off-site either via a courier service or by company personnel. A third option is to store all backups in a fireproof safe on or off-site. All three of these options hold inherent dangers, and all three require manual human interaction in order for the process to work. The traditional tape backup process holds 5 potential points of failure. 1. The physical media you're storing your data on is subject to failure. 2. The physical hardware required to back up and restore your data can fail and typically requires ongoing maintenance and upkeep costs. 3. The software required to manage backup and recovery. 4. As we have all probably read in recent news, media is quite regularly lost in transit between business and long-term storage facilities. And 5. Data kept off-site in a storage facility can get lost or misplaced due to the human element in storing data in this fashion. The traditional recovery process includes all the same inherent points of failure as the before-mentioned backup process, with some additional caveats. Typically, you must restore to like devices, meaning you must purchase or maintain like servers and tape hardware for everything you have in archival. For example, if you're recovering from an LTO1 tape, but you have since migrated to LTO4, you will need to maintain a legacy LTO1 drive on site to perform that recovery. A secondary concern is with the typical recovery methodology is your recovery time objective, or RTO. Recovering data that requires a courier to drop off tape can take up to 24 hours. This may not be a suitable RTO for your business. Your RTO could mean the difference between winning and losing a big deal, losing a day's worth of productivity, or worse. Let's look again at the traditional backup topology and see what changes when we migrate to a hosted solution. To refresh, with a typical backup methodology, you have a server dedicated to backups, a backup tape appliance for archival and offsite storage, and in some instances, some nearline disk storage such as a NAS or virtual tape library. When migrating to a hosted environment, the most obvious piece of this topology to be eliminated is the tape library or tape drive. In addition, it's no longer necessary to maintain a server dedicated to your backups. In fact, the need for nearline disk storage really isn't necessary either unless you have a very large data store requiring near instantaneous restores. You're left with your core business servers and your local area network comprised of your employees' workstations. In a hosted environment, if the workstations are already storing their data on a file or email server, then only the servers themselves require backup. In the illustration shown here, all workstations are storing their files on File Server 1 and File Server 2. All email is being stored on the email server. With a hosted solution, each of the servers will be loaded with a backup agent. This piece of software is linked to the backup user interface and the backup director. The backup director is software residing on the physical backup vault, which in a hosted environment is found off-site in a secure Tier 4 data center hundreds of miles away. The frequency in which this data is backed up to the remote vault is determined by the IT administrator via the Graphical User Interface, or GUI. Once these parameters are set, this backup schedule will continue to run indefinitely. The administrator can choose to run backups nightly, multiple times throughout the day, or any time the data changes on the server. The IT administrator can tell the system to retain backups for as long as he or she decides. Retentions are completely up to you. When a backup occurs, the director on the vault first looks for changes on the server. If a file has changed since the previous backup, the backup software then determines exactly what has changed within the file. With traditional backup software, if you have, for example, a 10 megabyte Word document, and you change a single sentence within that document, the entire 10 megabyte file would be flagged as changed and would be backed up during the next incremental backup. This is not the case with a hosted solution. With our solution, only the changed data within the file is backed up to the offsite vault. This bit-level backup, or delta block data deduplication, is one of the two primary technologies that allows us to back up successfully over the internet. Because such a small portion of your data is typically changing on a daily basis, you can now, in essence, perform a full backup every day instead of once a week or less. This also allows administrators to back up data they could not previously fit into their limited backup window. When a backup is performed, the identified changed data blocks are first compressed and then encrypted using military-grade 256-bit AES encryption. The encrypted data is then transmitted over the wide area network through a secure SSL internet session to the hosted provider's vault. Once on the vault, the data remains encrypted at rest. It is important to note that you and only you own the encryption key. ISSI Data Vault nor the hosted provider can access your data at any time. Let's delve a little deeper into how it is possible to retain nightly full backups while pushing all the data over the wire. As discussed earlier, the backup software first and foremost is only looking for and backing up changed files. Moreover, only the changed bits and bytes within those files are being sent over the internet to the vault.